What's something that feels 10 times harder simply because you're single? Hi, welcome back or welcome if you're new here. I'm your host, Violetta, and this is all about being single. So, today we're going to talk about some things that are more difficult for singles than for couples. So, going to weddings or other events without a plus one, or even having to find a plus one, or attending holiday gatherings where everyone asks about your dating life or everyone has someone there, or attending just any social event where there's plenty of people who are coupled up and then there's just you, paying the full cost of rent or a mortgage alone, covering all household chores yourself, making every major life decision without a built-in sounding board. The costs of traveling, if you're usually traveling solo, are way higher. Having no one at home to celebrate everyday wins with, dealing with illness without someone automatically checking on you, recovering after surgery or an injury, moving to a new home by yourself, building furniture or tackling DIY projects alone, or having to find people, having to pay for those, eating alone at restaurants if you want to go out, which I know can also be a positive, but sometimes people look at you like, why are you there yourself? Navigating dating apps and first dates, and starting over and over and over after dating disappointments or breakups, feeling like you're behind because society often celebrates couple milestones and not really single people milestones, having fewer opportunities for spontaneous physical affection, and also just not getting a lot of touch in general, managing finances on one income instead of two, planning for retirement without a partner's income or benefits, facing emergencies without someone who automatically knows your whereabouts or kind of your whereabouts at least, or even just having somebody to know that you're okay. Sometimes we go days without talking to people, having no default travel companion, being the only person responsible for pet care, home maintenance, and errands, creating your own support system instead of relying on a built-in partner, which also takes a lot. I think communities aren't really communities anymore. Making medical decisions or listing an emergency contact if you don't have close family nearby, or even if you do, you're putting them on there, but they're not necessarily putting you on there. And just feeling like you intentionally have to build community since friendships often require more planning than living with a partner. It's a lot. Sometimes it's a lot. It's a lot to have to deal with just being single, just having to go through this life by yourself, even if you have friends, even if you have family. Even if, you have some kind of a community, none of it really replaces a partner's love. So yeah, today's episode was just kind of more of like a vent. I just want to kind of bring up some of these things that I thought, we're missing out on being single sometimes. And this is going to be a super short episode, but I'm just going to skip over to the glow up. Think about, for each one of the things that I mentioned, or actually if you have any ideas for other, this is not an exhaustive list. So if there's any other things that you really want to bring up that are much harder for singles than for couples because of how society treats singles versus couples, please go to allaboutbeingsingle.com. You'll find a spot to send me a voice note, and I'd love to hear your thoughts and more examples because, again, I know this isn't an exhaustive list. For the glow up, there are a lot of negatives. There are a lot of negatives to being single. There truly, really are, especially in the society made for couples. But just this week, think about all of the things that are positive, that are good things about being single. So just come up with a list of the things that are positives, maybe 5 to 10 things. I would try to shoot for the 10 things. So 10 things that you love about being single. Because there's so many negatives, and sometimes it's nice to remind ourselves of the positives. And that's where I'm going to leave you. Again, it's a very short episode, but I'm sure some of these resonated with you. And again, if there's more, please send them over, or you can even email me at allaboutbeingsingle@gmail.com if you have any other examples, that you want me to maybe talk about on a future episode, or if you just want to tell me maybe some things you'd like to see more of, hear more of on this podcast, or maybe hear less of. I always want to make sure that it's helping you as well. Thanks so much for listening. As always, even if we're late, we're right on time. I hope you have a good rest of your week, and I really appreciate you listening, and I will talk to you next Tuesday.